Welcome, welcome. Super excited to be here on YouTube today for Clear Vision Wednesday. Today we have a very special episode with Dr. Gina Nick, and we're going to talk about a topic that is very important, glutathione, and why that is so important for eye health. And I'm looking over to my other screen, making sure the live stream, it's always taking a long time saying it's preparing for the live stream, but I know that usually by the time that shows up, we are already on the live stream. So I just want to make sure before we get into YouTube and before I actually introduce Dr. Gina that we are live. So want to make sure that's the case. And I think it looks like it is. So just making sure. I don't see the live stream yet. Sometimes it's tech stuff. So, but I guess I'm assuming we are live. So Dr. Gina, why don't I bring you on? And welcome, first of all, welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So we are both in Southern California. You are a renowned naturopathic doctor. You had several roles as a researcher and actually worked for government agencies. So you are, a really renowned health expert. So tell me a little, because instead of reading your bio, I find, first of all, it's all linked in the show notes. Can you tell me a little bit, how did you get into this whole topic of glutathione? Like, how did that get you really excited?
So we need to rewind about 20 years. When I learned about glutathione, I'm a naturopathic doctor. So when I was in naturopathic medical school, I learned about glutathione and I became very interested in detoxification. That was my real area of interest. And when I was in school, I got sick. And I had all these doctors around me and, I had every resource under the sun to try and figure out what was going on. And everybody kept saying, no, you're healthy. I was, 22 years old. There's nothing wrong with you. We don't know why. I would like all of a sudden pass out and then I would have like foggy thinking and I would get really tired, but everything on the blood work looked normal. And I was at a health food store and a woman that I had become friends with said, hey, I know of this really cool detox institute that I just went to and it was amazing and I feel so vital, et cetera. And I was like, sign me up. How do I get there? So I went to this detox institute and I was just blown away by what I learned there. I met people from all walks of life, healthy actors just wanting to be even more vital and beautiful. And then people with end stage cancer who were reversing their symptoms and what they were experiencing. So it was like every walk of life. And the bottom line was I became extremely inspired by this whole concept of detoxification. What is this? Is it a system in the body? Like, what is detoxification? Is it just detoxing from drugs or what? And from that, I really just started to do my own research. I healed myself by learning more about things I could do to detox my own body to feel my best. And I never felt so great in my life. So fast forward, I start practicing medicine in Laguna Beach, California. And one of my first patients was a former drug addict. And I used glutathione on him. And I use a lot of things. I did all the testing for different nutrient deficiencies and diet and lifestyle. And he said over the years, glutathione, I would give injections in my practice of glutathione, is what really worked for me. And so that kind of stuck in my head, and I used it, it was part of my standard protocol with patients to just optimize health. And then I was actually approached by a company who makes glutathione. And they said, Dr. Gina, you've been the director of research at Standard Process Nutrition. You've created these purification programs that have been highly successful. We want you to test our glutathione in your medical practice. So I did. And I was like, everybody needs to know about this. By being hired to research this ingredient, it forced me to really do a deep dive into what is glutathione, what is it really doing in the body? And I discovered that there's over 100,000 clinical research studies on glutathione for everything. I mean, it's from lowering inflammation in the body to supporting immune function to balancing hormones to neutralizing free radicals and everything in between. And I'm like, this is amazing. And so I started to lecture and I was at a conference in London and there were like 600 doctors and healthcare practitioners from all over the world there. And I asked, how many of you guys use glutathione in your practice, are familiar with it? And it was only a small handful of people that raised their hands. And so it was at that time, it was before COVID. I was like, that's it. I'm going to make glutathione a household name. I think everybody can benefit from it in one way or another. And everybody has the right to know about it and have access to it. So that planted the seed for me. And from there, during COVID, I decided I was going to launch a supplement company based on a form of glutathione. I wanted it to taste good, to work, to actually boost blood levels and really work in the body, and for it to be accessible to adults and children. So I created a formula. I sent it off. I got back my first sample and it tasted amazing. And I'm like, okay, this is something special. And so from there, I kind of continued to work with the formulations, and I created pixie sticks, glutathione pixie sticks. So I wanted something that tasted like candy, but wasn't candy. I have a young daughter. She's going to be 12. And I'm like, I want something that I can put in her lunchbox. And I know that if she takes that, at least if she takes that during the school day, she's covered. And again, this was during COVID, where research came out showing that glutathione prevents a severe reaction to COVID, among other things. And so I really got inspired, and now here we are. And it's interesting because just when I was invited to be on your vodcast, I did even more research. Okay, so what's the connection between glutathione and eye health? And I kid you not, every time I'm preparing for an interview, I get re-inspired by the power of glutathione, and what it does in the body. And I'm like, glutathione is so powerful. It can help to prevent macular degeneration. It can help to optimize eye health. It can prevent, issues with age-related eye health conditions. And so, yeah, it's a master antioxidant. I call it the mother of all antioxidants. It works with vitamin C. It's as important, if not more important, in the body. It's found in every one of our trillions of cells. And it supports detoxification and lowers inflammation.
Let's get into all that. So,
Yeah.
But it's so interesting what you shared, that like basically one person kind of inspired you to kind of look, right? I feel like there's so many times in our lives where other people might tell us, especially family members, like, I don't want to hear about this stuff anymore that you're doing. But then there's these other people are like us that were really helped by somebody. So I think it's so important that we do this kind of public education and share more about glutathione. And I'm always interested in that too, because every time, I bring some expert like you on, I learn a lot too. And I love that you did a little bit more research on vision on this. So tell us a little bit, like, so it's a, what did you call it? The powerhouse of antioxidants?
I call it the mother of all antioxidants.
Mother, okay.
It's the master antioxidant.
Okay.
And so it's manufactured in the body. We also can get it from foods, and it neutralizes free radicals or toxins. And we're exposed to more and more toxins every day.
Right.
In our air, our water, the food we eat, the thoughts we have, everything. And even when we're exposed to viruses and bacteria and whatnot, our body produces these toxins, free radicals. And glutathione basically renders them inactive and clears them from our body. And so that's why when people take it, and I'm sure you've had this experience, it's like, I just feel better. Why do I feel better? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but it lowers inflammation. And we all have been hearing a lot about inflammation lately, but it's a really great way to lower inflammation in the body and get rid of those toxins. And so I'm really passionate about, supporting health for people and empowering people to be able to do things day to day, that are reasonable to do, that aren't overwhelming, that really do support our body's own ability to heal itself.
Well, can I ask, so basically, so we produce it ourselves, like, so what goes wrong? Like, why would people need to supplement, as an example? Because ideally, right, we all take supplements, at least we health people, we do. But we base it on labs and checking what is not working and like where do we have imbalances, but we don't stay on those things for the rest of our lives. Usually we take them as needed. So like tell us a little bit about how is glutathione produced in the body and how does it help our vision? And then what is like, when do we know we don't have enough that we need to supplement for some reason?
Well, I think everybody needs it, more than what our body produces and what we're getting from our foods. And that's just because of the vast increase in exposure to toxins that we all face. And so I think our bodies haven't evolved to the point of being able to handle the burdens of our environment. And that's what, why do we have chronic disease? Why are so many people facing some level of chronic illness? One of the main reasons is because we're burdened by so many toxins. And, while our body's always working for us, that is my truth. Our body's always working to keep us healthy. It doesn't have enough glutathione to counter the effects of exposure to toxins.
Can we measure glutathione like in a blood test? I'm curious.
Yeah, we can. I've tried all the different tests. You can do blood draws for glutathione. You can do, there's an organic acids, it's a urine test that looks at something called pyroglutamate wasting. There's different ways to test, and I love tests. I'm like an analytic mind. I'm a dork in that way. But at the end of the day, symptoms, I look more at symptoms and improvement of symptoms, and what I see is the lab work doesn't always match the improvement in symptoms.
Same with improvement, right? People can see lines on the eye chart, but then when they go to the eye doctor, the autorefractor machine might still say this is your diopters, but their vision is actually better because they can see more clearly. So I totally relate to that. So what are symptoms of glutathione deficiency? And talk also about the connection to vision. I'm really focusing on that too, but obviously overall symptoms.
Yeah. Okay. So overall, think more inflammation in the body. So that's tied to everything from hormone imbalances, feeling fatigued and not knowing why. There's something called neuroinflammation, inflammation in the brain, and that's tied to symptoms of autism, attention deficit disorder, depression, anxiety, sleep disorders. And then lower immune function. So not being able to fight off, things that you're exposed to, maybe like you once could, if you ever were able to, and so just an overall like lower, less vitality is the best way to say it. And again, remembering that glutathione impacts every cell in our bodies, every single cell in our bodies.
Okay, sorry. Can you connect to specifically symptoms when it comes to vision? Like what are vision problems that people experience if they do not produce enough glutathione?
Yeah, cataracts, macular degeneration.
Macular degeneration, okay.
Even blurred vision. Think about when you look at the eye, if you have excess exposure to toxins, whether it's from UV radiation or from just environmental exposure or from being sick, those toxins, like compromise all the functions in the eye, and you can understand that, better than I can because you're an expert in that area. But when I was looking at the research, there's really good research showing that glutathione supplementation can help to lower the incidence of macular degeneration and can actually help to heal cataracts. And so, it makes logical sense because toxins cause damage, cellular damage, even in the eyes. And when you have something that is so intimately connected to lowering toxins and rendering toxins inactive, because toxins cause DNA damage. Toxins cause damage to the cells. So they don't communicate with one another. They don't function the way they're supposed to. So right. Something that helps day to day to neutralize that. You're helping to heal your body.
So with cataracts, you said reverse. I'm always super careful with that because depending on the stage of the cataract, So what can glutathione do? Like what in your research, what have you, since you researched this for so long,
Yeah.
what have you seen in terms of like AMD, age-related macular degeneration or cataracts in terms of glutathione supplementation? Like, or what levels of glutathione does somebody need to have in order to make a difference in their vision?
Yeah, so that's a tough question because it's so individual. Everybody's demands for glutathione are different. If you're challenged with, for example, age-related macular degeneration, chances are you need at least 250 to 500 milligrams of glutathione introduced into your body daily, to offset the effects of that age-related condition.
Okay.
And the reason it happens with age is because our detoxification capacity goes down. Our levels of glutathione go down as we age as well. And just like with hormones, there's no like documented benefit to a lower level of glutathione in our bodies. The only association is with disease.
So is there a number, how traditional medicine always says these are the normal ranges, and then in functional medicine, we kind of look at more the optimal ranges. What are the optimal ranges that people should see if they do test that as a blood result?
I mean, I don't like giving like the specific numbers again, because it has to do with if you have macular degeneration, you need glutathione. Do you know what I'm saying? And so,
Right.
and your normal may be different than another person's normal. And the way it's tested, whether it's just, like blood draw, or if it's testing for pyroglutamate wasting, there's so many different ways to test that I don't like to get fixated on the numbers.
Okay.
If in your lab test results, your level, indirect or direct, is in the lower third of the reference range, then I suggest you probably already have symptoms of low glutathione. And so whatever test you're doing, if you try and stay in the upper third of the reference range of whatever lab, because there are so many different labs and there's so many more coming out. When it comes to glutathione, you want an optimal level.
Right. That's what I'm trying to establish right now. Like, what is the reference range when people look at their labs and let's say they've done this? Like, what's the reference range of what's the upper third?
Yeah, it depends on what test you're doing.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can't really tell people what to look for in their lab results. Okay.
It's more like depending on what your doctor tests for, look at the reference range and make sure your level is in the upper third.
Okay, got it.
What I would say. That's the easiest thing, rather than being like, it needs to be 900 or it needs to be, whatever the number is. It's relative. It's relative to the test involved, and it's also relative to your symptoms.
Got it.
You don't even have to test. Quite frankly, I've been doing this for so long. I'm kind of at a point where, you can test for glutathione. I don't know how accurate the tests really are because your levels change, day to day at the very least. And it depends on your level of exposure, the amount inside your red blood cells, for example, versus the amount actually inside the cytosol of your cells, or it's then transported to the mitochondria of your cells. How much is actually there? Honestly, we don't know. If I'm going to be like, straight up, there's
other things that people can do other than supplementation to increase their glutathione levels.
Oh, absolutely. So diet, things like avocados and vegetables that are members of the brassica family of vegetables. So broccoli, kale, radishes, even hamburger meat. It'd have to be really high quality hamburger meat, but even hamburger meat does have glutathione in it. Glutathione is basically just a combination of 3 peptides, 3 amino acids. You can even take, like, glycine is one of those amino acids. You can take glycine. You can take cysteine. A lot of people during COVID took N-acetylcysteine. That became popular. Why did it become popular? Because cysteine is a precursor to the production of glutathione. So I'm like, take glutathione.
What
Just
is
as
the
long
third
as
one? Lysine, cysteine, what's the third one?
and glutamic acid.
Okay, and
Glutamic acid, glycine, and cysteine.
Okay.
Hmm.
I'm taking some notes. I really love to learn about these things too. So okay, so eat avocados, eat brassic family from the family of brassicas, the vegetables. Some red meat you said has glutathione in it. Any
Yeah.
other foods that people can eat that to help support the glutathione level?
Leafy green vegetables are another good source. Peaches, cherries are some fruits that are particularly high in glutathione levels, relatively speaking. You want to make sure they're organic.
Right.
And ideally locally grown if possible. But, a lot of people all say, hey, eat more vegetables, eat more fruits. Well, if those vegetables or fruits have pesticides on them or pesticide residue, then you're kind of countering the effects because those are toxins. So those toxins go into your cells. Those toxins actually congregate in the mitochondria of the cells. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of your cells. It's where energy is produced. It's also where the DNA is housed. And lo and behold, where do toxins go? They go right there. They congregate right there. And that's where glutathione is too. And so I'm like, okay, bring in more glutathione to protect your cells, protect yourself from damage.
We eat non-organic peaches, which are on the EWG's environmental working group, Dirty Dozen list, which have a high level of pesticides on them. So if you eat a non-organic peach, trying to think about improving your glutathione levels, well, tell us a little bit as an example, like what happens in the mitochondria.
Oh, if you eat a non-organic peach, and again, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but even if you eat an organic peach, it could have exposure to toxins as well from the environment,
I just like the biochemistry. So there is like glutathione coming into the mitochondria and the toxins. So what happens?
Yeah. So, okay, so then it's just a balancing act. The relative amount of toxins you're exposed to compared to the amount of glutathione. You've got enough glutathione in there to counter the effects of the toxins. You're going to render them inactive, and they're going to get cleared through the human detoxification system. And the human detoxification system is, it's not, I didn't really learn that much about it when I was in medical school, but it's just as powerful as the cardiovascular system, the immune system. It's comprised of a lot of different organs in our bodies: the colon, the liver, the lymphatic system, your skin. These are all parts of the kidneys. They're all parts of this human detoxification system. I'm always blown away and when I'm reminded that our cells are 24/7 actively working on detoxifying all day long. Why? Why are we designed that way? It's because to keep exposure to those toxins at bay because they cause damage and disease.
Yeah, so glutathione is like this fighter, that we need to protect ourselves to get rid of the toxins. So that was super interesting. I'm looking on YouTube. I don't see any questions yet on YouTube. So maybe tell us a little bit about the Pixie Sticks. So you have this supplement because again, supplementation is great, especially if you cannot meet your standards or if you have symptoms and you want to be proactive. Yeah. Like for instance, I take gluten zeaxanthin, even though I eat a super healthy diet with lots of dark leafy greens, but it's just kind of my little health insurance, and I don't take a very high amount, just kind of this extra boost to make sure, right? So tell us a little bit about the formulation that you created.
Sure. But I'll tell you, there was a study, I literally just came across it, and I will send you a link to it.
Okay, great. We can put it in
it looked at the connection between lutein, the benefits of lutein and zeaxanthin. And I believe it was for helping with macular degeneration in particular. But they also tested glutathione. And they found that glutathione was even more powerful at protecting the eyes. So it's the mother of all antioxidants. Lutein and zeaxanthin are known to be very, powerhouse antioxidants specific for the eyes. But glutathione is actually found to be even more powerful. And I didn't even know that until I researched it, and so I'm always just surprised at how important glutathione is, to just our health and well-being, Oh.
So I see some questions here from my community, even though we don't have anything on YouTube, and we always have a private little Q&A at the end in my Clear Vision Club community with us on Zoom. But since there's no questions on YouTube, I figured, so that's a question that I think is valuable to ask right now. It's like, can we take too much glutathione?
So glutathione is under very tight homeostatic control in the body. And so what that means is the body's amazing. In its innate intelligence, it maintains a very steady amount of glutathione. So when you take more, your body basically rids itself of it.
Right. So there's no danger in taking too much, which is always good because certain vitamins definitely we might need to make sure we do not take too much.
Right. But like a lot of people take glutathione in IVs. And there's a lot of controversy about that because, again, glutathione's under very tight homeostatic control. So too much can be a total waste. So I'm a big fan of giving your body what's called a physiologic dose day to day, kind of like how you take lutein and zeaxanthin.
Right.
In reasonable amounts day to day to just help your body's own innate detoxification systems to work properly. And so, Dr. Patel, he's another expert in the field of glutathione, and we've compared notes and we talk about this, and he's adamant, injections and IVs of glutathione are a waste. I give injections in my practice for, when I have like severe autoimmune conditions and things of that nature. I will administer injections of glutathione as well, intramuscular injections. But I also have my patients day to day taking glutathione.
So yeah, tell us a little bit about the supplement that you created because you did all the work for us, and tell us a little bit about that before we come to a close on YouTube, and then we have a little private discussion here.
Sure. So I have a couple products. One is just it's a capsule form. It's a form of glutathione that's been clinically researched and proven to boost blood levels. So a lot of the glutathione on the market, if you take it orally, it doesn't work. It's one of the issues. It's one of the problems with glutathione. It's this amazing antioxidant, but how do you get it into the body so it actually works, as a supplement? So the form of glutathione I use, it's called Cetria glutathione, is it's very expensive. There's a lot of other glutathiones on the market, but I picked the most expensive one, but it works. It's proven to boost blood levels. And so that's the form that I use paired with vitamin C in capsule form. And then I created these pixie sticks, and I didn't use any sugar to sweeten them. I used glycine and a little bit of stevia. And glycine happens to be slightly sweet, but it's an amino acid. It helps to calm the brain. It supports detoxification, helps with the production of glutathione. And then I also added vitamin D3 and zinc and magnesium glycinate and vitamin C to just round it out and provide for like a full immune formula in, something that tastes like candy. So for adults and kids.
Okay, great. Yeah, I can't wait to test them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like I said, I think it's a great way to make sure that we get enough. Obviously, eating a clean diet is the foundation of everything. That's why they're called supplements. So supplement your diet. Well, I don't see any other questions. Let me do one last check on YouTube. Basically, yes. I'm putting the links in there. There's a question, how do you spell it? But now I'm not sure. Somebody on YouTube is asking the studies, what kind of doses was their suggestion, like how much to take?
Yeah. Between 250 milligrams and 500 milligrams daily is the general dose. 250 milligrams daily is kind of like your day-to-day insurance policy. If you have some symptoms of inflammation, you can increase to 500 milligrams per day. In some cases with patients, I'll increase it even to 1,000 milligrams a day, but that's under, my care,
right,
watching them. But 250 is kind of the standard day-to-day dose of a form of glutathione that actually boosts blood levels.
Right.
The challenge, I used to use liposomal. Liposomal glutathione was considered the gold standard for oral supplementation if you're not going to get injections or IVs and whatnot. My challenge was I couldn't get patients to stay on it because it doesn't taste good.
Okay,
So
yeah.
patient compliance, it's like, it's not going to work if you don't take it every day. It's just not going to do anything. I can't take it. I mean, I've tried so many times. I can't take the liposomal forms, and I've tried different ones. And so this is kind of an alternative to a liposomal form. And it's something that kids, adults will actually take and enjoy. I was on a podcast the other day and we were talking about, she asked, hey, can you make like make a mocktail with this? I said, that's a good idea, not a cocktail because that's kind of countering the effects, but a mocktail because it tastes good.
I like that idea, also because it needs to be bioavailable, but it needs to taste decent, because I'm taking some supplements right now that I have to drink, potassium, which tastes so horrible. And it's like, and I remember trying liquid magnesium, like, oh my God. And you're right. You do it like twice a week instead of daily, just because it gives you the goosebumps. So,
right.
So there's a couple of questions, like one more. So basically it's a simple question. Do you take it with food or without food, the supplement?
You can take it either way. I actually, I recommend, if you're taking it like for a therapeutic reason, like to treat something, I recommend taking it right before bed.
Okay.
And the reason is because that's when your body manufactures most of its glutathione, is at nighttime when you're sleeping.
I see.
Again, it's kind of working with the body. But you can take it with food, without food. It's an antioxidant. It's better to take it with vitamin C. My formulas all have, buffered form of vitamin C in them, because vitamin C works with glutathione. They work together hand in hand to support, that antioxidant capacity. No.
Sounds good. I'm putting things in the live YouTube chat just so you know when I'm looking down. I'm like putting the links and the information there and answering some questions. So yes, I think this is really San is asking here. There's no sugar in the sticks, right? There's a natural sweetened from the what was it? The and what was it? Which one was sweet?
Glycine. So, and that was, this whole thing has been kind of divinely inspired. It really was during COVID. I'm homeschooling my daughter, and just the whole thing just kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, it came from a lot of years of research, I know, and all that, but it really I woke up one morning and I was like, glycine. I give glycine to my patients all the time. I've formulated products forever, and I'll always add glycine as a sweetener, because it's not sugar. It doesn't affect your blood sugar levels that way,
right?
But it supports glutathione production. So it does have a little bit of stevia in it.
Okay, so it doesn't raise your blood sugar, but it's just sweet enough so it tastes delicious. It's bioavailable. I'm putting all your links there also in the show notes. I put everything into the description. This was super, super interesting. So where can people find you? What's the best way to connect with you?
So for the glutathione product, it's called Best Daily Ever. So if you go to bestdailyever.com, you'll see, the patient testimonials, and you'll see research and just more information, so you can dive in and really look at it. And then my just practice website is drgina.com, drgina.com.
That's super simple. Well, thank you so much. This was really interesting and enlightening. Really appreciate you for sharing all this, and goodbye, YouTube.